Hey, Fred. Oh, ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Sorry. Hi, friends. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of One Question with me, Mr. Sharp. I am here with Liesl Shurtliff. How are you?
Great.
Where are we?
We are in Harbor Springs, Michigan for the Harbor Springs Festival of Books.
And we're staying at Susan's house.
Yeah, and it's amazing.
It is amazing. It is in the tunnel of trees on Lake Michigan. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And we both got to hang out with kids today.
Yep.
And we're doing some things tomorrow. And I am going to ask you one question. And it is related to your Facebook post today.
Oh.
So today on Facebook, 5 hours ago, Miss Shurtliff writes, would it be weird if I read it? Or do you want to read it?
No, you read it.
I'll read it. I've been thinking a lot about talent lately. I've been praised from time to time for my talent in various capacities. You're such a talented writer is a common compliment I hear. And I try to be gracious and say thank you because that's the polite and gracious thing to do. But I would like to be frank now and say I inwardly cringe when I get this particular compliment. And I could do without it for the rest of my life, really, so can you talk about that and what your thoughts on talent and how it makes you feel when people say you're talented?
Yeah, I think because it's giving the message that you are who you are and that you've been given this talent, and that's why you've accomplished what you've accomplished, is because you're talented, and it undermines the hard work that has been put into the accomplishment. And I really don't feel I'm a very talented writer. I consider myself a pretty weak writer, in fact, but I have worked really, really hard to develop that skill and get better at it. And but that wasn't something that as a child, I really thought about. As a child, I had certain talents. People said, you're really good at this. This is what you do well. And then I had these weaknesses, and no one really told me, well, you can get better at that. You can, progress and maybe make that a strength. So I think sometimes we sell people short by telling them, you're so talented, instead of thinking about where they're at, what their potential is, where they could be.
Yeah, Peter Johnston wrote a book for teachers called Choice Words. And in that book, he talks about the words that we use when talking to kids. And we shouldn't say you're so smart for the same reason. We should say things like, you worked so hard. I noticed you worked so hard on that. Praise those kinds of things, because then we'll get more of that effort. If they think, oh, I'm so smart, then, oh, I can't do anything about it. I'm just smart.
Or if they are not very good at something, how are we going to handle that? Or it's just like, yeah, this, that was a struggle with that, and it's difficult, isn't it? But I really, I think if we work on this, that you can make this something that's a strength.
And I think, like, how you say that you've worked so hard, you're in the most beautiful spot in Michigan, one of the most beautiful places in the United States, Harbor Springs, Michigan.
It's beautiful.
And you spent your day in this house writing.
It did. It was hard.
Yeah, because you could have been at Tom's Mom's Cookies, or you could have been downtown with all of the authors, like doing all of these things, but you did your school visits, and then you put your butt in the chair and your hands on the keyboard, and you worked.
I did, yeah. But I have a deadline.
But I feel like that's coming up a lot. Like, your authors, the more I get to know authors and see it, how much work it is. And how, like, Abby Hanlon I interviewed today for The Yarn, and she taught herself how to draw. And she spent 5 years just teaching herself how to draw. And if you read her Dory books, you might love the art, but it's not something that she was talented at.
Right.
And she talked about the 10,000 hours that's been so popular from Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. And yeah, it's the work. She's put in the work and developed that skill that now she has.
Another book, sort of Malcolm Gladwell type, that I feel like is starting to gain traction is Grit by Angela Duckworth. And this idea about sticking to it and perseverance, And I think, we're all going to have setbacks. I've had a lot of writing setbacks. I still have writing setbacks. But the idea that we stick to it, we try again, we get up when we fail, I think is so important and key to success in anything.
Yeah. And as someone who tries to write more now, I don't have that skill and I just give up.
Colby.
I just quit. It's like, oh, you'll start and it's really fun, and then you'll be like, it's too hard. But I need to, because you see people like Liesl Shurtliff, and you think, oh, they're so talented, it's so easy. I just can't do that. But I think a lot of people probably think that, like it's a talent.
Yeah, and I think interest is important too. Like, you have to want to do it. You have to really want to do it, especially if it's maybe not a talent, but you really see the value in that, and you see that that it could be something really fun and really good if you're good at it. But if you don't really have that interest, if it's not that important to you, then maybe that's not where you should put your grit. Maybe you want to put your grit into teaching. I mean, you don't give up on your kids.
No, that's a good point, because you don't have to be great at everything.
Right.
You don't have to put in that effort into everything.
Yeah, I quit things. I quit
What
guitar.
do you quit? You quit guitar?
I think I've tried, like, I really do want to play, but obviously not enough.
Yeah.
Because I've quit like 3 times.
Because you probably could if you were willing to put in the effort.
Yeah.
If it was important enough to you.
Sure. And I quit learning Spanish, and I really do want to learn Spanish, but it got hard, and so I quit.
Yeah. There's a dog here. It's not our dog, so if you hear something, there's no bodies. We
didn't trap anyone.
It's a dog, and the dog is learning.
And he's not our dog, so we don't feel like we can let him out.
No, so it's not us. That's a nice segue into something else. Let's talk about this new book.
Yeah. This took a lot of grit, I have to tell you.
So tell us about Time Castaways, the Mona Lisa King.
So Time Castaways is a time travel adventure. It's about 3 siblings, Mateo, Corey, and Ruby, who have one very strict rule in their household. That is that they cannot board any public transit by themselves.
Okay.
Okay, they live in New York City, so public transit is very common. Well, one morning they wake up, they're late for school, their parents have left for work already, and they decide to break this rule. They board a subway train, which turns out to be a time-traveling ship. And it takes them all the way back to Paris, 1911, which was, in fact, the year that the Mona Lisa, that famous painting, was stolen from the Louvre Museum in Paris. It was actually stolen in 1911 and was missing for 2 years. Was not recovered until 1913. And that's actually one of the reasons why the Mona Lisa is so famous today. Before that, it really wasn't that famous. In fact, it was kind of criticized as not being the greatest. And so that happened. And my characters actually have something to do with that famous art theft. It sends them on an amazing adventure and quest. They learn all sorts of things about their past and their future and their family, and that's pretty cool.
And this really happened, nonfiction, right?
Yeah, it's all
Just
nonfiction.
kidding. So was it a lot different writing this than writing your Fractured Fairy Tales?
Yeah, in a lot of ways it was. It's obviously not a fairy tale, and it starts in a more modern setting, so I could use some more modern language and things. That was a little different, and it's in 3rd person. All my other books have been in 1st person, and this was in 3rd, which was very different for me.
Was that hard?
It yes and no. I don't know. It felt right for this particular story. That felt like the right decision.
I don't understand point of view, and because you hear that all the time. Like, this is Kate DiCamillo's first book in first person since Winn-Dixie, Louisiana's, and I don't understand.
So
can
I think,
you teach me something?
Sure. Well, with first person, I mean, obviously it's all from a specific
I understand
point of view.
what first person is.
But that makes it so everything, you can only see things from that character's point of view. It's all from their worldview, which can be really fun, and you get really inside that character's head, and you see this world, and it can make the voice really come out very easily.
Okay.
3rd person.
That all sounds wonderful. Why don't you just do that all the time then?
Because
great.
it can be really limiting in terms of the scope
Okay.
and what you want to show and what you maybe want to let your reader know.
Okay.
As the narrator. With first person, you can only let them know what that first person narrator knows. But with the third person, you can slip in information that maybe your point of view character doesn't know. Or you can switch points of view. Not that you can't switch points of view in a first person, but
Yeah.
it's a little more dicey, I think, sometimes. But so you can broaden the scope, almost like think about like taking a camera and like lifting it up and showing things more
Like a
broadly.
drone.
Yeah,
Like a
exactly.
drone.
You can't do that with a first person
drone.
point of view. So, but a third person, it's like you can move the camera a little bit more, move it out, move it in.
That's because
move it
we're
around.
reading a Mullen Bounden class,
Oh yeah.
and the kids are like, "Why don't we know what's happening with her family?" So we're like, "Well, it's first person, so we only know what a Mull knows."
Yeah, exactly. With this, what's fun with this, and especially I'm writing the second book right now, you get other characters' points of view. So you have characters that are giving information that your main character doesn't know. So it creates this different kind of tension. So it's like, oh my gosh, they're doing this, and
But they-
that
yeah,
character doesn't know that's going to happen, but he's headed right towards the train wreck. So it creates this tension that the reader knows things that this character doesn't know, or this character doesn't
Yeah.
know. So it can be really fun.
And it's out.
It's out.
You can go buy it today. I will put links down below if you want to order this book, because it's Liesl Shurtliff and we love all of her books. So
Thanks, Colby.
thank you for teaching me something. I didn't expect to learn anything from this.
I didn't
in
expect
terms of
to
like
teach
point
you
of view.
anything.
So no, but it's interesting to think about just all of the different. Like I have like started to write things, and then it's in first person, and then it's in third person. I'm like, oh, this is hard. Which one should it be? And my answer is, I'll just quit. It's too hard, like, because I was writing something and I was like, oh, it's first person, but I want to be able to do this. And then I was like, I have to go back and fix it all. It was like 4 paragraphs, so I just stopped.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I quit sometimes too. I mean, I go back to it.
Yeah.
But there's sometimes I'm just like, ugh.
It's a lot of work.
It's
So
really
then you
hard.
change one thing and then you have to change everything.
So true.
Sheesh. These authors, we sure are thankful that they have that grit. Well, thank you so much, Liesl Shurtliff.
Thank you, Colby.
Hopefully this dog gets let out soon and we can all
Poor
get some
dog.
rest. Thank you, friends, so much for tuning in. Have an awesome, tastic day, and happy reading. And cut. So now we have to do like a thumbnail picture. So how we'll do that is we will just sit and then, why? I don't know where I don't understand. I'm like never in the picture.
Well, you need to.
Okay,
There you go.
kind
Just
of. All right, so
duck
let's
your head down.
hold the book. And see, I want to be on, I think it's because when I have to move this way
Yeah.
to go that way on the camera.
It's mirrored, so it's awkward,
I don't like that.
confusing.
Well, this is not hard. I'm smart enough to figure this out. That's over there. And this is over there. Okay. So I don't want to be in the... So can you just move up a little? All right, let's just go like this. And just smile. Okay, then I'll just freeze frame. Thank you, that was super fun.
Yeah, that was fun.